Have you ever experienced burnout as a crafter? What was the cause of your burnout? There's nothing worse than having a hobby that you absolutely love, but you're falling out of love with it because something is triggering burnout within you. In today's video, we're going to discuss the warning signs for identifying burnout and what you can do to prevent it before it even occurs. Okay, so let's talk about some social media struggles. This is definitely one of the topics that can trigger burnout in a lot of artists or crafters. It's going to be tempting, especially at first, to want to sign up for, 4 or 5 or maybe even more different social media sites to get your presence onto. The thinking is kind of, okay, if I put myself out there to different audiences, that's only going to help my business. But in reality, all that you're really doing is creating more back end work for yourself. Keeping up with a social media account is a lot of work, especially somebody that's doing something creative like an artist or a crafter. You're going to want to make different content posts with maybe how you do things or upcoming sales or where your next event is going to be. All of this starts to multiply and compound when you talk about having yourself on different sites. So, what I would recommend is sticking to like one or two different social media sites to put yourself onto, be able to commit to creating content on a regular basis, because this is only going to help yourself and keeping that load off of your plate down to a minimum. And it's going to help your audience too, because your audience on these one or two sites that you select will be rewarded with your more consistent flowing content that comes on a regular basis, and they can kind of count on you. Also, another thing to keep in mind with the social media sites is that your content is subject to their algorithms, meaning even if you make what you think is a great video or a great piece of content, or you ask your followers a fantastic question, how many people, how many followers is that post actually going to reach? Are you in control of that? No, you aren't. So, this is one of the reasons why you don't want to get overly invested in social media, especially from the start, because it can be really frustrating. You can put great content out there and there's no impressions. It's not being, put into people's news feeds and things like that. So it can be really frustrating and definitely trigger burnout. When you're putting a lot of time and effort into something that's not getting the response that you thought you would. Okay, so the next subject I want to talk about here is comparing yourself to others. Now, of course, there's some benefits with doing this, especially at a craft fair where, maybe somebody has some great signage or their booth setup is really nice, and you can kind of just learn from the techniques of other people and things like that. So that's always good. But what you don't want to do is absolutely obsess over your competition. So if you're at a craft fair, odds are there's going to be somebody, another vendor there who does something somewhat similar to you. Maybe there's a couple of different painters or a couple of different people that have ceramics or pottery. It's great to observe and see what's working for them and what's not, and try to learn from it. And at the end of the day, that's really what you want to do as far as your competition goes. You want to take what you can learn from them and leave the rest, okay? Because you want to be able to focus on your own successes. And, when you go to a show, you just want to try to learn as much as possible, as quickly as you can, and make the best of it and move on. But what you don't want to do is just start putting a dark cloud over your own head and, cast a bad vibe on your own day by getting sucked into the competition. So this is definitely one thing to avoid if you don't want to get burnout. It's kind of human nature to, look at the competition and things like that, but try to do it as positively as you can, and don't put a bad light on your own day. Okay, so the next trigger for burnout I want to talk about is getting overwhelmed by your workspace. So, we all at home have our crafting areas and our crafting rooms. And what you want to do is set them up in a way where you've eliminated all non essentials from your crafting space. Okay, so it is going to take an investment of your time and energy. And this is actually a really good off season project to do, even every year, is to basically strip your room down, assess what you're going to have in it, what you need and what you don't need. You can eliminate distractions, eliminate clutter, just organize it in a way where it's a highly efficient workspace, okay? Because one of the last things you need as a creator is to get distracted and to get frustrated with just even the environment that you're in. Like, I know myself as a creator, like, I have to be in a certain mood to want to sit down and commit myself to a project. And sometimes there's not a lot of effort involved there. Sometimes it's, come and sit down and work on something and great, something turns out, but if you're kind of teetering and you're even, getting some of those burnout feelings, the last thing that you need is to have an environment that's kind of swallowing you into a darker mindset where you just want to walk away and you don't have that desire or that fire in you to create something. So your environment is definitely a huge, huge element of whether you're going to experience burnout or not. And it's worth it to invest the time to prevent it. Okay, so this next warning sign can be a bit of a sensitive issue for some of us, and that is family or friends either taking advantage of you or not supporting you. So, when it comes to either selling or offering your items to family and friends, this can be kind of a touchy subject for some of us. So, what you want to do is you want to have a game plan that you commit to from the very beginning and just stick to it. Okay, so are you going to give family and friends a certain discount? Are you going to say, nope, sorry, you're going to pay full price? Maybe you make one item for each person and give it to them at Christmas every year. Whatever the game plan is going to be, like I said, stick to it instead of being pressured into deals for loved ones, okay? Because again, I use the word pressure because sometimes it can feel that way, especially with people that are close to you. So like I said, just come with a game plan and stick to it. You also want to be okay and learn to be okay with loved ones not supporting you. And this can be kind of heartbreaking for a lot of us because, as an artist, you're excited about your own art, and you think that the people close to you are going to be, really, really pumped and excited for you as well. And sometimes it's just not like that. And for even basic things like, hoping that they like your social media posts or comment or share it or whatever, I would recommend the mindset of hoping for this, but not expecting it. Okay. At the end of the day, this is your journey, and nobody, not even your loved ones, are obligated to come along on that ride with you. Okay, so just be grateful for any support that you get along the way, but just try not to count on it, okay? Because it can be something that is really, really devastating to you. And if you want to talk about burnout, this is one of the absolute major causes of burnout is hoping for that support and not getting it. Okay, so another way that people get themselves into trouble with burnout is not being realistic when they're scheduling their own events. Okay, so it's natural for an artist or a crafter to want to sign up for these big shows, and maybe some of these shows are juried, so they're kind of hoping to get in and all that. But you also have to provide yourself with breaks, not only between the shows themselves, but you also want to create an off season for yourself so that you can replenish stock and just take time away from yourself that you are going to need as each season goes on. Okay, so a little example for myself, I'm a musician on the side. And whenever I take a decent amount of time away from music, I always come back with what we call fresh ears. And that's basically just having a fresh perspective and kind of a clean palette musically. And I think this applies to really all the arts. Whether you're a painter or whatever, if you just take a little bit of time away, invest some time in yourself with different things and maybe different hobbies or just not doing anything at all, you will come back stronger. You will come back with exciting ideas and new perspectives that you can implement into your next season. So time away is not only good for yourself, good for your mental health, your physical health. It's also going to improve your artwork in itself. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different examples of burnout, what causes them, and how you can prevent them. I want to give you one of my favorite tips that is kind of a morale boost, at least for me, where it just kind of keeps me going, keeps me motivated when sometimes I feel a little bit sluggish. And that is if you're an artist or a crafter who ships items to, let's say, different parts of the country, what you can do is have a map for yourself with all the states, or maybe if you're local, do a map with all the counties. And as you make a sale in a new county or a new state or territory, whatever it is, fill that color in. Okay. And it's just something that you can look up at, when you're kind of struggling and you're fighting those demons to stay motivated. And it's a really great way to kind of keep you going when things are looking tough for you. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope that you can apply these tips to keep yourself going when times are tough. Thanks so much for watching.